Welcome back, friends, to game number 3. I know, we're really taking our time today. Talon versus Reject is about to begin. A lot would consider these two teams kind of the mid-round for their regions, for Korea and Japan, but Reject has been on the up and up, and given Damwon Kia's L that they took only a few minutes ago, that's gotta hurt. And Reject's shot as actually making it to the major in the first year have just gone up because of that.
I think so. I think, you know, Reject are a team that have been on this curve, you know, improvement into the league. You know, we will stop talking about it, but we weren't expecting them in the league, you know, through last year's promotion matches. We were expecting Sengoku, and then they come in, struggle, do okay stage 2, and stage 3, boom, they're here. They're looking like they might go to the major. They've got a very favourable run of fixtures, which means if Sandbox slip up, Reject are going to be right there chasing them down for that second spot.
Yeah, and Reject have Fav and then Spear for the last 2 games after this one against Talon. So they could feasibly collect all 9 points and just make it through. We were talking about Cyclops and Sandbox and whatever. Look, many changes there. But have they stolen your heart, Ollie, Reject?
I think they're not far off, are they? I almost liken Reject to a little bit like the Furia team of APAC.
Fair.
That's one of the comparisons that I see for anyone wondering Furia team inside of BR6. But yeah, I think Reject sort of play along that same line for me of a little bit of an underdog story, but they're on that upward trend right now. And it's something that we see week in, week out, a little better here, a little better there, and they've got that big sort of talisman player in Salty.
Who else is standing out, really, on the squad, Jack?
Oh, look, statistically, he's not, but Window stands out for me, because what you don't realize is when you're playing Rainbow Six and how stressful it can be and the pressure that you can be put under. And let's be clear, for the first time, Reject are under pressure where they're chasing the major. This is a complete first for this team. You need somebody who's going to keep the vibes good, who's going to keep everybody happy. And Window does that for this team. You can, you know, I don't obviously understand the language that they speak, but you can very clearly see it from the cameras in between rounds where he's dancing, he's screaming, and he keeps them all smiling. And you genuinely, you can't put like a value on that, but it keeps everyone's morale high and keeps them going.
You might say that Window, you know, lets in a breath of fresh air into the team.
You could say that.
A slight breeze into the squad. That's a joke about Windows. This is how far gone we've gone. But moving on to Talon, because correct me if I'm wrong, we've been talking about Talon since the moment they joined as this team that really can make it in a day, breaking into the top 4 to qualify to playoffs. But they're always just behind hitting that mark.
They're a team that I want to support them, and I think there's definitely some substance there. They play decent enough Siege, and it looks pretty good for them, and then they make a couple of roster changes, then it looks pretty bad, and it starts looking good again. They have their moments where you think, oh my days, this team is a real team that can go places, and then sometimes they will drop off or produce results that you're just not expecting out of them. That being said, they've got some pretty hard games out of the way. They've got KAG out of the way, they've got Damwon Kia, they've got Sandbox out of the way, so we would expect them to start picking up some wins going forward.
Damwon Kia is not a hard game, Fresh.
That's true.
We've just seen what happened to Damwon Kia.
True.
Jokes aside, Talon, they are coming into the easier run of fixtures. And this is going to be one of those games where you look at them go up against Rejects and you go, right, here's your chance. Shows what you've got against a more equally matched opponent. You would expect them to come away with, you know, a reasonable share of the points here. And I think there's maybe a little bit of prejudice going into this one based on who Talon have played and the performance that they've had up until this point. You maybe look at it and go, you know, Rejects are the clear favourites here. But I think it could be a little bit more equal than meets the eye.
All right, so how about we take a look at our map for this series. Jack, I'd like to guide me through if this selection is right or not. Oregon picked by Reject. I can see and hear Des sighing from the other side of the room. Skyscraper banned out, and he said some other mean stuff that you don't want to hear. Attacking starting side for Reject, defense for Talon. That was their pick. What are your thoughts?
So Des always says mean things. That's nothing new. But what is quite new is that Reject have chosen to go to their 9th preference map. They don't generally like Oregon whatsoever. And actually Oregon for these 2 teams, it's a bit of a loser's map. The teams have played it a decent amount, and there's only 1 win, and that was in stage 1, Reject against Spear. All of the rest of the games these 2 teams have played on Oregon, they've really struggled, so it's not a massively high preference map for either team.
any team can play Oregon, though. That's something to take away from it. And if we're looking at this and we're going, it's maybe the most equal matchup that we have today. It's maybe the two most well-matched teams going up. You would expect an Oregon or a club or something like that to really try and level that playing field as much as possible. Someone's going to have to get a result on it tonight.
Both teams had big attacking issues on Oregon when they've played it throughout stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 as well so far. It's not uncommon that we would see 1-5, 2-4 kind of splits on Oregon. And I mean, to an extent, that's what you kind of look for, right? If you can win the tertiary sides. But these teams have struggled doing that as well. So,
Ollie, you're saying that any team should be able to play Oregon now, but I didn't see BDS playing Oregon against Rogue in the last Playday. So,
hang on, which region are we doing it?
Wow, Alem has come for his morning coffee this morning. He thinks, I'm going to watch APAC. I have got my coffee. And then you took a swipe at him. And then you've just taken another swipe at his team, Milos.
They took a swipe at themselves. Did you watch that game? Are you serious? Might as well be shitting themselves in the foot during it. Anyways, so that was going on. But do we think that Talon have what it takes for this? Who needs to rock up today to make sure that Reject don't run away with 3 points that they could use and abuse? Because they got a clear shot at the major if things keep going well.
I think the Talon, a comment that we made last week was they don't always field the same 5. And that's something that, we've seen is almost a bit of a common theme in APAC, especially today. But you need to be fielding that same 5 to have that consistency and to find that teamwork and cohesion between the players. So as the weeks go on and as that sort of 5 gets a little bit more cemented and we see less substitute in and out, that's obviously going to help with things a bit more for Talon.
I think that big word that Ollie says and that we've said all day today, consistency. But APAC's not necessarily a region that's known for consistency. Would you be surprised if Talon turned up and just ran away with it? No, but equally so, they shouldn't, because Reject over the course of the stage have obviously been the more consistent team. And I think for Reject, they maybe play into it a little bit too much about trying to be a little bit too crazy. They kind of remind me of CAG of a year ago, 18 months ago, where, they've got a lot of ideas and they want to have a lot of fun with it. And it's absolutely crazy. If they don't know what they're doing, their opponents don't know what they're doing. But obviously that also leads to inconsistency.
Well. Reject have that shot at success today. And I'm wondering what sort of I guess the biggest conversation around Oregon is what tertiary site do you go to in this case?
It's been meeting recently in favor, hasn't it?
Popular, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been meeting because I think teams with the kitchen dining, you can really just isolate a small tower and work across from there. There's no opportunities to flank. Whereas meeting, you can flank up from Attic side, you can flank underneath from team one side.
Get some light on you, Jack. What? We couldn't see you properly on the screen.
I was dancing about talking about Oregon. Yeah, but meeting, you've got 2 flank options, 3 flank options if you go Green Hall. There's a lot of options to defend the meeting site in particular. So we've tended to see that be the third choice of site, although even that's a bit 50-50.
All right. How do you see this one going, Ollie? Your lobby's ready.
I think the viewers are going to win.
Oh, come on. What is this? Aren't you related to Tim?
Reject. I would like Reject to win. I think that,
I want that story to keep
grabbed
going.
onto them a little bit.
Honestly, I'm really looking forward to it. Though, Ollie Fresh, thank you very much. That's Reject versus Talon. We toss it to our casters. It is Designates. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. Welcome to the desk for Game 3. Tim, how you doing, buddy? I feel like I haven't spoken to you for ages. You know why? Because we had a lot of fun last night without you.
You spoke to me about 30 minutes ago, Des.
Not properly, though. That was me and you back and forth and around the positioning of a laser gate, which for us actually is a really serious topic.
It is. That's a deep conversation.
Normally it's about the pronunciation, but placement is definitely a new one. How do you see this game going, though? Tim, what's your thoughts on it? Reject? Are they going to make the major? Because I feel like after that last game, you've done the whole Homer Simpson thing. You've backed into the bush wearing the Dan One Kia jersey. You've come out in a Reject one.
Could not be a truer word spoken, Des. To be fair, I've been backing Reject for a little while now. I've said that they're very fun to watch, they're very enjoyable. And I am excited about the fact that there is a potential for them here, and I am going to be the hype train for Reject. Head and Heart probably say 2 different things for this game. Heart says Reject have got everything to play for. They know what's at stake here. They'll have done the maths. To remind everybody at home, that is, if Reject win their final 3 games, they finish on 16 points. Sandbox, who are their #1 competitor for second spot, would need 4 points from their remaining games, but those games are against Cyclops Cyclops and Damwon Kia, and they would need points from both of them. Even if they got a 3-point win in one of them, the other would have to go to overtime. So a big job for Sandbox potentially, and Reject know that, so they know what's at stake. But that said, out of the 3 games, I think this is the one, Des. I think this is the seal that Reject need to break. I think they beat Talon, and then they've got Fav and they've got Spear. Both capable of upsets, but I think less likely than Talon. So for me, this one is going to be very close. The head says very close. The heart says, come on, Reject, get to the major.
I know you're baying for it, Tim. For me, for Talon, they have yet to win on Oregon this year, which is what makes me the most nervous. Played Damwon Kia on it twice, lost both of those. It's been a rough ride. And given the constant ever-changing roster they've got, this is a wounded puppy that Reject can kick down the hill now if they really want to. Bans have come through, though. And those are a couple of spicy ones in the middle, by the way, Tim. We're going to see, 4 of the potential max 8 frag grenades that you can pick taken off the board, with the 2 most popular operators outside of Sledge on that, with the Nook and Diana both off the board.
Yeah, we've seen this done before. Not so much, I think, with the knock. I think we saw it was from Rogue. We saw the Sledge and Iana ban as a combination come in EUL, and it left just a couple of nades on the board, or it may have been a Sledge knock combo. I can't remember exactly which way around it was. But it was effectively doing the same thing. At the minute, we've got 3, I know there's more in the pool, but we've got 3 operators that generally find their way into lineups for frag grenades, and that's Sledge, Knock, and Iana. And taking 2 out of the 3 is an interesting banning strategy, and it really did impact that game. I can't remember I think it was against Outsiders maybe, early in stage 3, and it massively impacted the outcome of that game. You could see the difficulty in the strategy. So, an interesting one. Let's see if it plays out. You've got 1 taken away from either side. And really, for me, the knock was probably always going to be a ban for Talon, but Reject play into that. They lean into it by taking Iana out and get rid of more nades. Interesting to see how that one plays out.
Just looking back at the story of this map again for a second. Rejects also haven't won on this map this year, but don't forget the Reject from stage 1. We don't talk about Reject from stage 1. Didn't win a single thing. Stage 2, we started to see flickers of improvement and really starting to see a team come online. Stage 3, we're now talking about them maybe making it to a major. So go figure. You can kind of discount the 2 results they've got from stage 1 and stage 2 and say they've definitely done their homework on Talon here. They've been studying what they've been doing inside the VODs and have a plan coming into it. So really, this is Reject's game to win, in my opinion. For now, let's see how things shape up there. You've got a couple of players trying to work their way in through Small Tower. 2 or 3 more scattered out towards the east. So this sort of top floor pinch by the looks of it coming in from Reject to kick things out. Try and make sure that's clear before they start thinking about attacking on the downstairs. Just doing the homework and ensuring there are no roamers to be cleared out first.
Yeah, I think we've seen a little bit of a lean in. We've always had players around in the map on Oregon, but we've seen teams lean into that recently, especially on the basement defense. We've seen much more of a presence out in the map, and we've got a little bit of that. But saying that, everybody from Talon has slowly made their way back. Thank you, Talon, for destroying my point. We had one up at rear stage, we had one top of freezer, we had one knocking about kitchen. They had a little think about the roam, but Reject have forced them back quite quickly. Whether that's Reject's direct actions or whether it's Talon's decision, it doesn't really matter. The fact is, within a minute, all 5 are in sight, and Reject can get moving towards that pretty quickly.
I just think it was really cute how Candy there was being so diligent, hopping the drone up through Big Tower as well. Did not want to be the guy that gets flamed for being like, oh, well, I said it was clear, and actually I was lazy and didn't check everything. I think we've all had that in stacks before, but it shows everything is cleared out. The team can move their way through. What makes me a little bit nervous for Talon, being honest with you, Tim, is Reject have got, not Talaniki, Salty on the Monty, sorry. That can be a real headache when you've got a lot of time to work with. Oh, and a Twitch drone to get the mirror window as well for free, and gets just everything being torn asunder. No doubt another one going to fall down once he gets enough charge coming through. Just a lot of damage being done by Tadaniki at the start of this round on the Twitch with the shock drones.
It really is, and if that drone survives, which it likely will, nobody's going to push that deep on the defensive side to try and take it out under the desk. There's going to be another couple of pieces of utility, a prox alarm, and one of those Vulcan canisters as well that are going to go by the wayside. So great play from Tadaniki there. Sometimes they often forgot about function of the Twitch drone. It's not just about about information. Swing. It's about that utility as well. Demic with a beautiful kill onto window to open things up, and that might just start to split this Reject attack in half as Take takes a lot of damage as well. Nade comes out, not going to be successful, allows him to push in behind, can't find his man though. He's going to be challenged by multiples, and they keep dropping Des. It's 4v1 as Misa finds Salty.
But here comes one back as well. TALON at least balancing things out for a second, although it's now a 3 versus 1. He's got to hunt down so many by himself. Finds one on the deck. It's a pistol kill. It's ace or bust in this round, Tim. But the question is, does he know about the one to the right? Looks the right way, but it's a crossfire set up by TALON. A little bit chaotic, but they do hold on in round 1.
Well, it's game on. It's game on.
And
Reject, if you want this major, and it's certainly not a guarantee, let's not forget, even if they get all 3 wins, it is not a guarantee, but it is everything that they can do to achieve it. And if they want it, they're going to have to step up here on Oregon, because TALON just had the run of that round. Let's be honest, Reject came down, they lost all but one gunfight down there in the basement, and TALON, they looked pretty tasty down there on the bottom floor. This time they're going to head up to the top, so I would expect, talking of tasty, for them to try and hold on to the kitchen a little bit more this time, Des. They're going to try and keep somebody in security, particularly, I would expect. We'll see once they've shaped up whether they do position anybody down there. But I'd maybe even from TALON like to see 2 underneath to begin with, because otherwise the pressure can come onto the security player very quickly.
I was just having a quick rifle through what games these teams have got left, actually, to see where they shape up. Reject have got Fav, for example. They've got TALON on the... sorry, not Fav, that's Fav beat TALON last day. They've got Spear on their last play day. We said this last week. They've basically got... I don't want to say 3 free games, but they are looking incredibly likely they should be able to walk away with wins in that. That's when you then start looking around the rest of the table and saying, okay, now you start relying on other results to go your way as well. But we know teams like Sandbox and Cyclops have got to take points away from each other. It's looking likely, assuming they get the win. I'm not going to draw any conclusions after 1, 2, or even 3 rounds. I'll give it a few more to see how TALON are playing. But for Down 1 Kia to basically throw away their spot potentially in one day and then Reject to do it in the next game, that would be a real wild twist in the APAC North story for Stage 3.
Wouldn't it just? I mean, I think if I remember Sparrooni's graphics correctly, we were looking at about a 33% shot for Reject if they got the regulation win. I apologise if I've remembered incorrectly there, but I think it was around 30-40% if they get the win. But I imagine that will update as the day has gone on as well. You know, obviously Down 1 Kia sort of dropping themselves back in the running, Fnatic taking a loss. That all plays into, you know, how much of a chance Reject have got of going there. So, yeah, you know, all they can do is focus on what's in front of them, and that is getting the results. And it feels like they're on the downward slope, I think it's fair to say. They've had the difficult games. TALON isn't going to be easy, you know, but they should certainly be capable. Now then, Canos, he's going to be just lurking around that rear tower. Doesn't want to be letting anybody in there. Demic, he's going to get the opener again onto Take this time. Window takes a lot of damage.
How has he done that much at that range?
The trade. This is it, but at least Reject managed this time to get the trade and keep things level at 4v4.
Just one of those. Salty was also dancing around for a while, Big Tower, trying to find out the Valkyrie, but Canos so far has given him the slip, remained quite elusive. For now, has managed to work their way in below. At least you can see here, the 2 of them still facing off as well. Salty's like, where is this guy? What's going on? Where is he? Now he's going to find him out and go, okay. But these 2 have been dancing for probably the last minute and 20 seconds or so. It's a lot of time to lose out there on the roam, Tim, but I think that's because they're so afraid of Canos getting in below, making use of that C4, that they want to be denying it early in the round to stop him having that opportunity.
Absolutely that. They're not really able to move quickly enough here, Reject, to get the Valkyrie stuck in Big Tower. It is possible with those attic walls closed, if they can get the basement locked off underneath him and have somebody in that kitchen corridor, you know, pushed together in a pair. It's possible to get him stuck there, but they haven't really been able to reposition quickly enough to do that. So Canos, he's likely to play out the rest of the round here.
Window.
No, that was almost an absolute freebie for Window, but Misa somehow manages to wheel on him and get the kill, and then finishes off the round with a pickup onto Candy, and that is going to be another one for TALON. 2 successful defenses, top and bottom floor locked in, and just as Milosh asked the question coming into this game, the tertiary site, how important is this going to prove?
Very, I think. I mean, I always talk about the game being in quarters, or wait until we've seen the first 3 rounds before really assessing a team. The one thing I can say there about the players, though, Window, you can't be missing shots like that. It's a freebie on someone getting through trophy. You're not even being shot back at for the first second, yet he still whiffs the shots with the Ash. And I spoke about this a little bit in previous weeks, both in EUL and in APAC North. The number of players that are still adjusting to the recall that haven't fully got it down yet is a little bit crazy. Long gone are the laser beams that we're so used to seeing, just picking up kills for free. It does require a bit more discipline and control now than what some players are probably used to, and there are still, you know, no doubt months potentially of work to be done before teams are really on top of it.
I'm just wondering, I mean, as you said, we need a little bit more time for Reject yet, but if this continues to slide in Talon's direction, you got to wonder if there's a little bit of pressure just playing a part in this. Reject have certainly been more at the races in terms of gunfights so far this stage, so far this year. You know, they've been really building into the performances, and this isn't really the best that we would expect to see from them. And like I say, it's a difficult thing when you're playing with that knowledge behind you that, you know, I'm sure the major wasn't necessarily the goal. You know, would it be accepted? Would it be a bonus? Would it be amazing? Of course it would, and every team dreams to get in there. You know, but I think for a team like Reject, it was probably consistency, stabilisation, you know, just development will have been some of the key goals coming into this stage. So that knowledge that all of a sudden it's maybe within touching distance, it's doable, there's a dream there to reach for. The pressure really will start to mount on these players, and let's see how they respond to it. Now, Take is going to go for the double claymore inside a garage. That's just to prevent a hatch drop, if you're wondering why they're sort of just thrown randomly in the floor there. It's to prevent anybody opening up that hatch inside of Armory, dropping down and getting onto the flank. Not one that we see too often, to be honest, but something that they're obviously significantly concerned about.
Yeah, I think, again, given they've seen Talon play this map twice this stage, they suspect it's something they may well employ, so just don't want to even risk it. For now, at least, there's 3 of them sat in here as well, starting out on this east side push. Last time I remember a team doing this was probably Team Secret a good long time ago. You get the single wall opened up and you try and push in for a plant there, tucked in tight. You have to make use of smokes, for example, but it does avoid the more conventional take we're used to seeing, which is getting big tower control, opening up meeting wall, then getting the Ossa inside to get a plant down. It becomes a real no man's land inside a meeting where no team can really step without being like slain by the other side. So I like the fact they're trying something a little bit different here. I'm just nervous they haven't yet got enough map control to make it work.
I'd agree with you, Des, and my nerves also come from, is this the right time to be trying something new? You know, you really need this result. You really need these 3 points. Is it better to maybe go for the tried and tested, the methods that we know work? Now then, Hedy is going to be able to avoid that one. Demic takes down Take with an amazing shot. Talon have just come in here, absolutely all guns blazing. Salty is going to take him down in the trade, though. Candy goes in and gets his onto Hedy, and all of a sudden, it's going in the direction of Reject. It's 3 versus 1 after Candy just slaps down a double in meeting, and we find ourselves now with 40 seconds left to go. Canos on the top floor trying to hold on.
Bursting out that left side of split there, just completely unexpected. Mows down inside a kitchen, finds one inside of sight, and completely destroys the defense of Talon. They're in a spot now in the 1v3, as you say, to get the plant down. They've got shields to play around. They've got angles galore. Reject do find that round they were looking for, Tim. And looking at how that goes, if they get another repeat of a 2-1, end up 2-4 after this half on the attacking side, I don't think they'll feel too beat up.
I'd agree. I would agree, but what Reject want to avoid is overtime, realistically, at this point.
Oh, yeah, any drop points are bad.
Looking at that long dream, any dropped points are bad because it gives more flexibility. Look at it this way. For every point that Reject drop, Sandbox need 1 less. So at the minute they're on 4, so they need points from both games that they have remaining. 1 dropped point here means that Sandbox only need 3 points to tie up. So all of a sudden they don't need anything against Cyclops. They could just do it against Dan1 Kia, who've been faltering over the last few weeks. So it really, even 1 drop point, even an overtime win massively changes the landscape and the potential for that Reject dream to continue. Talon, I've got to give a hand to, you know, absolutely fantastic so far. Great couple of rounds, round 1 and 2. Still winning their gunfights. Round 3, not the end of the world. It's a tertiary site. They've been pushed around a little bit in meeting, but they won't mind that at all. A 4-2 half, that's going to be great for Talon.
It's an interesting little attacker repick coming in here towards the end. The Glaz being picked up by Take. Makes you think that we'll probably try and see a push coming in here, either through Freezer's side or potentially through Construction. You've got the Monty on side who has the EMPs in back pocket to enable Candy to do his work. But outside of that, I'm looking at the 4 smokes in the back pocket of the Twitch and the Glaz. And we all know exactly how well Glaz pairs up with smokes here, Tim. So if they can get Take into a good spot, they can get those smokes down in the right position, he suddenly gains a lot of power on this site. Don't forget, though, there is the Warden for Demet that we've seen across a number of rounds. Maybe fearing a Ying, not expecting to see a Glaz, I'd imagine, but Glaz it is.
Going to have two pushing up to the mid floor. Misa moves over into security. Going to be spotted out there as he has to take down the drone. But he does have Demic in support. And I'm not sure that Reject are aware of Demic's position at the top of Freezer Stairs. Misa has crossed the back, so they're not going to try and hold on to that too much. All three have bailed. So the presence of the Monty there, Des, was enough to put the fear into them, to move them back into sight. Canos needs to be careful here. He does have one on the opposite side of Big Tower. It's going to be Taraniki that's in that position. It looks like Windows moving to try and support here as well. Canos needs to gauge this right as to when the time is to get back to site.
I'm surprised they've dodged away so quick because the Monty can only look into one place at once, right? His backside's completely exposed to the other without having to leave or really step too aggressively through the room itself. Either way, they drop away. They'd rather keep all 5 alive here and play on site, just acknowledging, like you say, that maybe the Monty was a bit too much pressure for them. Once again, Taraniki, I'll give it to him. So far, this entire half has been really impactful with those shock drones. Still has one more in back pocket, but consistently has found mute jammers, electro claws, the Vulcan canisters, you name it. He's picking it all off for free, including mirror windows, let's not forget.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job of burning his way through that utility. Now then, mid-floor is in the control of Reject here. Gets himself another. Surely not. No, he's not going to get away with the mirror window as well. That would have been a step too cheeky, giving it the 180 spin through the wall to shoot out the canister was just a step too far. But Monte is established down in Freezer. He's going to be feeding a lot of information here. Taki actually brings himself to the bottom of Laundry Stairs. Can potentially put those smoke canisters down, as you say. It's going to make it difficult for Heady to challenge onto him, but with that mirror window and that slight advantage of the black glass facing towards Laundry, he can peek at a moment's notice, and without them being aware, 40 seconds left to go, and Reject don't really have any sight control here as Demic gets the opener onto Salty.
That's the Monty gone as well. That's the one pick you really didn't want to be losing here. They do lose the impacts, not that it matters all that much. They've got themselves in a good position, but you're looking towards the smokes that can come out, and they are just not working in their favor. Taki's got to do it all by himself here. Smokes out the mirror window, sees one man behind it, and finds the head as well. C4 going to be rendered absolutely useless. Now it's moves off towards the rotate. Waiting here as well, but Demic, he stepped across for a little swipe himself and got put on his backside. 2 kills will come out for Talon, make it a 3rd. They completely shut down Reject in the basement, who just felt a little bit scattered and divided there, to be honest with you, Tim, on the attack.
It's honestly starting to look like Reject might have made a little bit of a mistake in the map selection here, bringing us to Oregon. They just seem off the pace. Des is the top and bottom of it, whilst Talon have really stepped up to Oregon. I know that Fresh said before that both teams have struggled on this map, but honestly, you show me this Talon performance and I'm looking at it thinking they're not too bad on Oregon, to be honest with you. It looks like some work has been put in to resolve that, and that's why they're obviously leaving it active in the map pool. You know, am I saying that they would necessarily come in and do this against Cyclops or a better team? You know, I think Reject are assisting a little bit in that they're not applying pressure, they're not getting control of site, they're not winning gunfights, but Talon are making it difficult for them to do that, and they by contrast are winning their fights. Every opportunity Talon get for a kill, they're taking it at the minute, and they're looking good on Oregon.
I think they are looking good, but a lot of it, we've got to look at how Reject have attacked, for example. That last round, especially for me, was a little bit of a weird one. Most teams I can think of around the world, especially in international competition, would see you dropping back to site after 60 seconds and go, great, we can really bully you now. And Reject did kind of do that. They got rid of all the utility using the shock drones. They made it as easy as walk in as a unit, take some gunfights, and you'll be in a great spot. They had smokes for the mirror windows. They had the glass, for example. And although with the glass, they did find a kill and a down, it started out well. The other members just fell apart by themselves, so I don't want to take it away from Talon. They're up 3-1, they're playing all right. It's not really a big complaint against them, but Reject are not attacking as a unit the way that we've seen them do historically.
Salty is going to be moving immediately towards rear stage tower. Last time around, we had Canos playing in and around that area. It's obviously something this time Reject want to address. As I suggested that they could have done previously, this time they're going to move straight into that basement level. And Canos, unless he moves very quickly here, is going to find himself completely cut off. He needs to get himself down kitchen corridor and out of dodge realistically before Sledge moves up those stairs from basement.
Does indeed, yeah. Going to a spot where, again, there's this dance around Big Tower. We've spoken about it so many times. It looks like it's going to happen all over again. Canos did waste about 2 minutes last time, but then Salty equally probably felt, you know, you feel like you're wasting my time. I'm just wasting yours. You've got that critical C4 in back pocket that I simply don't care about. Salty with a cheeky little zap there from the window as well, which Heady finally clocks onto and takes out the window.
just seems a little bit pointless, in honesty. The Samcams, they do have, one shot. You've done an absolute tickle of damage there and lost the cam that could be a bit of information. The information's always going to be more vital. But hey ho, it was on a barricade. You smash that out.
It's going to be gone. Yeah.
It's not the end of the world, but I just feel like, I don't know. I don't understand it. Anyway, we're a minute and a half into the round. We're halfway through here. Reject again.
God,
There's not
Tim.
really, and this is a key word, not disrupting the defenders at the moment. There's nothing that Talon are having to move because of. Reject are not forcing them out of any position yet.
Thing is, Tim, I've just saw the number of C4s in the back pockets of Talon. They've got 4 in this round as well, so really heavily.
There's a few.
Just a few, Tim. Yeah, just a tickle. They've got quite a lot of denial to play around here alongside the smoke as well, so you can see what they're trying to go for. Probably preferring to try and avoid direct engagements with members of Reject. For now, at least having the floor taken out underneath them. They've had nades coming in from below, and Canos is going to capitalise. Ignored inside of the tower and manages to work his way down green. Window gets a trade, but there's the first C4 kill we're looking for. Still 2 more in back pocket, plus a smoke canister. It's not looking good for Windows, stuck in a 1v4.
Not at all. He's going to be just lurking around underneath, trying to find anybody that he can. But I come back to that word that I already used, and it's disruption. He exposes himself too much. Canos manages to get the kill. And if it was going to be anybody, Des, to prove my point, it was Canos! Not disrupting Talon at all in their defense. Canos starts out in big tower. Nothing is done about him realistically. He's not forced back to site, being the key goal there for those roamers. If you're on a roam clear, you either kill or you force them back to site. Canos wasn't. He was stood in the middle of the map at the end of the round, as he was doing whatever he wanted to. No disruption there from Reject, and Talon taking full advantage of that mistake. Canos getting a double in the round, opening things up with the first kill, finishing them off with the last, and that just, for me, punctuates the problem for Reject on the attack. Not taking map control and not disrupting the defenders. Just, they can play their plan A throughout the round. And that's a big problem, because what do you want to play? You want to play your plan A.
I don't want to take it away from them too much, because last time round, Salty was lying watching the doorway into Big Tower, or came more into Green Corridor, the entire round to make sure Canos couldn't rotate through Green. Now, I don't know what he was doing in the last round. I didn't really quite clock it. The fact that Canos got past that is a massive punishment in itself. But I go back to the previous point I've made. It feels like Reject are all playing like 5 separate players here. I don't see tons of team play. You've got Candy trying to do his own thing, opening up stuff from below. You've got Windows, we saw, kind of hovering around White Stairs. You've got just people all over the shop doing their own thing. There's no real coordinated droning. Talaniki was focused on making use of the Twitch drones to get rid of things on site. There's no kind of coherent plan, it feels, behind everything that's going on. And maybe that comes down to it being a map they haven't played a whole ton lately. They'd have done their study, though. They'd have got a game plan. We're just not seeing that plan come to light right now.
No, you're exactly right, especially about not playing as a team. I mentioned in the last round, Take was underneath. He was in basement on the sledge. Canos was in big tower. Salty was at T3. They were in a position where they could trap him. If he got up those basement stairs, Take, quickly enough, Canos can go nowhere. But instead, he was allowed to escape because Take pushed through to Freezer, I think it was, instead. And that's a problem. Right now, it's a better start. Window manages to get one, but going in without any idea that Misa is there in shower corridor, ready to challenge. He's just taken out a drone, Des. How can he get away with that and get away with his life?
That's better. Salty was watching from Yellow Buster and had the cut onto the window through showers that he could not get away. That's the kind of stuff that got Canos back in round 2. It's the kind of stuff that's got the Misa here as well. He has wasted about 45 seconds. He has gone 1 for 1. It's not super ideal for Take to be gone as well on the Zofia with the impacts and the concussions on side. Really valuable when trying to push in towards site, but it's not the end of the world. At least now Reject have the numbers advantage.
4 versus 3, and they need to make it pay. Next thing that they haven't really secured is map control. So I want to see some control over site where Reject can think about putting the diffuser down in a controlled manner. But they need to deal with Canos. He's once again out on the lurk. He's at the bottom of Armory Stairs at the minute, and he is going to cause a problem if they don't deal with him.
Try again. That's the problem with the ranges of these EMP nades, is they're not very large, and that was for the Bandit Battery that is on the other side. Now they've seen it, the Flourish should do enough. 2 for the price of 1, the Banshee gone, as well as the Bandit Battery.
2 for the price of 1, double your funders. But is it going to be double the round count for Reject at the end of this one? They've got 54 seconds to try and achieve that. There is Soldier taken down. That is going to force Canos to move now. He's going to really have to get back to site, and this is part of that disruption. He can't stay out and play his game. If he does, it's likely to be a big risk, if not a round loss. He is staying for the time being in Classroom, but he can't really impact from here. And so long as Reject are ready for it, he should be an easy pickup when he tries to move back in towards site. But 30 seconds now. Reject need a plan, need to get moving.
They do indeed. I love the team play that's coming out of them in this round, though. We said it's been missing, and it is starting to come together here. Everyone moving as one, focusing on the same objective and pushing them at the same time. Much better stuff out of Reject. Talon still trying similar stuff to the last round, but Salty on flank watch especially got 2 big kills in that round and just made sure that Talon did not have the same freedom as before.
The problem that Reject face now is that this all comes down to tertiary site choice and performance. So let's argue that Reject lock down Laundry and lock down Dorms and do the same as Talon have done. 4-2 it's not the end of the world, but I've already explained why it's not good for them. You know, any overtime is not good here because what it does is release the pressure from Sandbox because they get a free game against Cyclops then, essentially. So Reject, they need to go one better, really. They need the 5-1 here. They've got to put the pressure on Talon, and that is going to mean getting a win in one of those tertiary locations, whether it be meeting, whether it be dining, whichever they choose to go to, they've got to be able to lock it down. But before they even get there, Des, they've got to stop Talon in the next 2 rounds and level it up 4-4. They can't lose the primary or secondary site. They can't lose Laundry. They can't lose Dorms. And the way that Talon have been playing so far, not always been necessarily perfect, but they've been very good on the gunfights. They've been winning those fights repeatedly. And if they can come in and do that and reduce the numbers of Reject, they might just stand a real chance of spoiling the party.
The weirdest thing is, Tim, Soldier's playing exceptionally well. Soldier, when he came into this team at first, was really good. Young 18-year-old gunner, really stepped up and made himself known, was really impressive. This stage, he's been all but silent. We've seen Misa kind of really be the hero, who I will happily talk about all day. One of the players that I'm really keen to watch and see more of from Korea. But for seeing Soldier on board as well, seeing Demic performing, even Canos is up there at 5 and 3 as well. Across the whole team, they're having a good team performance. So I know we've spoken a lot about Reject because they're the ones that we're looking at for the major here and saying, is that dream, is that storyline still alive? It's kind of our jobs. But we can't ignore that Talon also are having some really good individual performances here that have asked a lot of questions of Reject. Here on the attacking side, though, we've got to see them stay strong.
I've said it countless times, you know, as far as Talon go, you can only play what's in front of you.
Yep.
And right now, Reject are there, they're making mistakes, and Talon are capitalising on it. So, you know, you have to call it a good performance from them. Candy is going to open things up onto Canos and manages to get himself back to site, full health with window in tow. So that is a good start for Reject here. Message has been sent to Talon, but has it been received?
The message that's been sent is you're against the Japanese team. Do not stand near a window. Do not stand near a doorway. Give yourself a good 5 to 10 second berth. Otherwise, you're going to get run out on. Taking some lessons from CAG there, almost, Rejects. As we recall, the game that I love talking about was CAG playing up against Team 1 back at the Mexico Major. Just out of every window and doorway you could possibly imagine and bullying them round after round and just trying to get into the building. And now by the looks of Reject are trying to imitate some of that. A couple of traps going off behind them as they work their way through here. Misa getting a scan onto one player, but he's already on site, so no big worry. Same for another that's straight downstairs. I guess the giveaway here for Taki is that actually he's pretty dangerously close, so the pair of them have got to be careful.
They really do. He's hell-bent on keeping that angle at the minute, and Misa's going to look to move down these stairs, not wanting to get too aggressive. We've seen the risk of running headlong into a shotgun at the bottom of this. He's not going to take the flash, but not going to find the man, as Take has dipped himself away. Is going to be identified by the Inox scanner, but is back in the freezer doorway for the time being. Reject are looking pretty good here, Des. 5 versus 4. They lock down. They've got their angles. They've got the setup. They've got 40 seconds left to survive.
They've contested ground a lot more aggressive than Talon did. Talon at about 1 minute 30 would be all back in the main site itself almost. Whereas Reject here, up until what, the last 60 seconds, have been challenging inside of Freezer very aggressively and are still doing so. They're forcing utility out of Talon just to be able to get into Freezer itself. And Misa's got to take the hurdles here, jumping over boxes to get himself nice and close. And Window's got a nice cheeky angle down. 2-3 players looking to work their way through Freezer. There could be some freebies to Window here in the last 10 seconds.
He's just peeking that tight angle, trying to see around the edge of the deployable shield, but the kills come in. They're all going to Reject. Demic manages to get one, but with 6 seconds left to go, it's unlikely that Talon can turn a victory here. Diffuser's down on the floor. Demic's got to keep moving, but shut down inside of Freezer. They can't find the last kill, but it doesn't matter. The time is going to do the job. The clock wins the round, and that's going to be Reject taking their first defense and putting us now 4-3. And as I said, the first two were particularly important. They need to double down here in dorms.
What I'm enjoying seeing, though, is that we haven't seen the confidence rocked for Reject. And I do want to talk about Talon's attack at some point, but just to go on to Reject for a second here, I think the teeth they showed in that defense was the biggest statement. The run out in the early round from Candy, the aggression with which they were trying to fight into Freezer, the way they were moving their defenders to actually face in towards Freezer and contest the main point of ingress for Talon. That was a really good, aggressive, flexible defense out of them. And that's the kind of stuff that will give you confidence that they can do well going through this half. For Talon, I think they ran out of ideas when they mapped that level of resistance. They didn't really have conviction in their attacks. The same sort of stuff that we said about Reject. Again, I'll give them a couple. I like to give teams 3 rounds to really get a feel. That first round, though, they lack teeth.
I think we could well be seeing there's a battle today of who can attack Oregon, which is not too much of a surprise. We've got 2 teams coming in, as we said. It's certainly not their priority map choice that we're playing on for either of these teams. So if you only play a map sort of infrequently, or maybe it's not your best map in your pool, which part of it are you going to understand? You're going to understand your defending, because that's the bit that you can choose to set up. That's the bit that you can scrim. That's the bit that's on you. The attacking, you got to react to what the other team are doing. You've got to be able to think around it. That's where your map knowledge, that's where your flexibility and adaptability come into it, and that's where you might struggle if it's not one of your favourite maps in the pool. And that's basically what we're seeing so far, it seems like.
It does a little bit, yeah. Here we go. Kanos this time around being the one employing the zero, something that Salty was using pretty much on the attacking side, almost exclusively outside of a couple of rounds on the Nomad. These two just meeting each other time and time again. He sees the drop but can't land a single shot. And Salty still looking for a couple of gunfights here. Despite all of that, once again, Talaniki is out on a run out. It was Candy in the first round, Talaniki here. When are Talon going to respect that possibility?
They need to be watching for it.
They do.
As you said, they need to be prepared.
It.
They need to be watching. They need to have the drones. You know, there's a lot of windows on Oregon, and given the opportunity, Reject are quite clearly going to use them. 5 versus 4 now as Talon continue to try and get themselves established. There's the peak out of the dorms. Back out of the games room, manages to get his kill, and Candy manages to reinforce behind him as well.
Yep.
And this is another round that is going very, very well for Reject. 5 versus 3. Attic wall is going to be opened up, but Reject have got the numbers now.
For both, Rejects in 2 instances in this round have played a more aggressive, risky position, and then as soon as they found a kill or got a little bit of aggression down, have reinforced the wall behind them. We first saw it in Attic, we just saw it in Walk-in Wardrobe, so again, showing their teeth, challenging for the ground, but then also making sure it's not a weak point in their defense. Thank you very much, medics. I haven't said that in so long. I don't thank him enough.
We really don't. It started all the way back in 2020, did that?
It did. Thank you very much, medics. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
No, it's me. I'll only say it to these days. I need to thank the observers more.
We certainly do.
If only you knew.
Stars of the show.
Pixels or pixels. If he steps back, he's dead.
Basically that. It can see onto that breach then. But for the time being, Taki is going to be happy to hold on to this angle, but he might not be for long because there's one that's ready to push in. If Soldier goes in, there's the red ping. He's going to have to react, and he does! Cuts him down! The second challenge might come in from Kanos here, but he doesn't even get him dead! Taki still finds the kill! Unreal double kill! And that's going to leave us now 5v1 and Reject. They look like they've completed step 1 here, which was to level the score at 4-4.
One of my favourite moments like that. It's one of them classic, I'm not stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me. Brings down both on the north side here. Leaves Demic as the last man standing. Reject with the flawless. Much stronger stuff. And again, this kind of goes back to the conviction of Talon. You get a draw on the player. You have them kind of swing out of sync with each other, taking 2 separate 1v1s. It's the same thing that really let Mowgli shine on Chalet back on Monday. They're giving them too much space, Tim. They've got to be snappier. They've got to be sharper. They've got to play more closely as a team if they're going to shut down these roamers. And please to God, expect the run out. You've had 2 out of 2 run outs or jump outs now. Expect it and act like it's going to come at any moment.
Fresh, of course, not just an analyst between games, Des, but during, he sent me a little message just giving us the attacking win rates for these teams on Oregon. And Reject, 41%. Talon, 27%. So the numbers maybe
I was
do
going to ask
tell
our
us.
stat man, given he's across the studio
Yeah.
from me, do you have global stats for the defensive win rate of each site on this map? No, he doesn't. Amateur.
I'll continue my point. It leans into what we're seeing here, and with only a 27% attacking win rate, that is 1 in 4 rounds for Talon on average. So there is a real opportunity here for Reject to possibly steal away one of these tertiary sites. If they do this now, they could be on for a full 3-point win and keeping the dream alive, Des.
That's what we're all about, Tim. The dream factory of the Paris studio. It's what we live for across the
You
world,
know me,
APAC.
if there is an underdog and there is a hella long checklist for them to get to a major or SI, I am excited for every step, every tick in every box of that checklist I live for.
The thing is...
And that's the feeling I've got about Reject right now.
Right, I sit here sometimes to tell you being ridiculous and you're like, damn, I'm going to win it all. They're going to win the whole lot. I'm like, Tim, no, they're not. And you're like, damn, I'm going to win it all. I'm like, Tim, they're not. And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to scream again, but you get the gist. You're the noisiest bugger in the room as well, so you can't, like, shout you down ourselves. It's horrible.
Or is it beautiful?
No, it's horrible. Because sometimes you are just wrong.
But beautiful.
You're always beautiful.
You know, we can leave it as a split opinion, Des. We can
See what I mean?
50 seconds into round 9, and we're going to have an opening
Ooh,
kill
the
this time
try
from
run out.
Misa. It's the tertiary site. It's the big question mark. And Talon have managed to get themselves the advantage here, attacking onto Meeting. They take down Salty. It's going to be the Mute that's gone, and it's going to be a Nitro that goes along with him, I think.
Well, here at least is the right sort of idea. Meter coming in through bedroom, you've got the sledge of Demic coming in through armory. Two of the big gunners on this team trying to push into a very key area of the map. I like it. And also a nice little cross angle coming in there from the Ash of Misa as well. Now, on the other side of things, bottom of white, you've got the Ossa setup of Soldier. So it's a good little pinch coming in from Talon where they're starting to really isolate and pinch in these members of Reject. It's looking much better than before. And now I can just see the outline of Misa starting to move through. One impacted out, but it's a swing. The team play comes in and Window gets a freebie. Canos one back on the other side. So for Reject, well, it's looking a little bit ropey. Talon here in a good commanding position in a 4v3.
It is. They certainly have the backs to the wall at the minute, but the positive for Reject here is that they still have command of sight. Talon need to take that next step. They've got the roamers cleared out. They've got the top floor. They can start with the vertical pressure. They now need to start thinking about that transition from step 2 to step 3, which is, of course, getting map control and burning utility, moving in to final execute, which is that final step 3. And Hede, he's going to be relocating with the diffuser, but 40 seconds left to go. Completely outside of the map at the minute. Candy just ratting away in showers there, Des. There could be a real big moment, but will it be like taking candy from a baby?
Terrible. There you go. They have seen. It's a good bit of diligence being shown by Talon. So I was going to say they would have relied on Soldier to clear this side of the map, but I think in losing him, I've kind of clocked, okay, we need to play this one together. So again, good close down on Candy here. 2 or 3 players starting to encircle him, but ultimately they find the kill regardless. A 4v2, but the time, Tim, there's only 10 seconds left.
Hede, he's just going to sprint into start and start throwing this diffuser
Great
down.
job.
They are ready as Canos hits the deck and finds the kill. Tadarniki taken down. Nade comes out and forces Window back 1v4 vertical against him. He knows he's up there. If he finds this kill, there's half a chance. He gets a beautiful headshot. He's got about 30 seconds left to do something, Des, and that's something. He's going to have to look like 3 kills. He's being pushed from inside a meeting. He's going to circle around. He nearly gets himself the flick across, but can't find his man. And Canos once again coming out big for Talon, closing him down, and Talon win in what is becoming a real battle over these third choice sites.
Canos more like Thanos, a 4K in that round as well, just destroying them, snapping, and the whole team disappears throughout the round for Talon. That's the kind of attack that I've been waiting to see, showing that togetherness, the teeth they've got, the ability to pinch in and react to what the attackers are doing. Sure, Soldier was quite isolated when they had 3 or 4 players focusing on, for example, bottom white, the other 3 players all towards trophy and bedroom. So he was sort of the sacrificial lamb, the one where Reject poured a lot of resources into, but the rest of them managed to make things worth. Canos especially getting into some fantastic positions. Reject here acknowledge, okay, boys, we're on for continual 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 splits. We need to change the record. We need 3 rounds in a row. We need to stop them fighting it back towards overtime. Otherwise, the door opens up for Sandbox, and suddenly they really start to charge ahead.
Here we go then. Round 10 is going to be underway very, very shortly. Once we've got this tactical timeout done and dusted, we will be back into things. It's no surprise to see the teams here just wanting to take a second, see exactly what's what. Because as I've kept saying, the importance for Reject, particularly on this outcome, less so for Talon, but for Reject, this one is absolutely huge. And they need now to double up what they've already done. So they've got to win basement, they've got to win dorms. And then, as I say, they really need to get that third site meeting locked down, done and dusted to take the full 3 points. I don't want to keep going on about it, but the importance here is that it forces Sandbox to get at least something out of what will be a difficult game against Cyclops. It really piles the pressure on them. Without the win here, the full 3-point win, Reject don't apply that same sort of pressure. Sandbox can get away with it. Won't be ideal, but they can get away with nothing out of the Cyclops game. So, Reject, your time is now. The next 3 rounds, no more mistakes if they want to take one step on that journey. It's a 3-step journey. This is the first, and it ends in Sweden.
It does, it does. Let's see how things shape up then. Starting out on the downstairs once again. Been the go-to site for both teams, and really, the reason I was curious, oh boy. Oh boy.
Blitz.
No, Tim. It's the head of a train. Trains make certain sounds when they go for a big push in through basement that I'm sure you're very familiar with by now. We'll see if that plan comes to be, because they've also got Misa sat up here on the Amaru, looking to try and make a play into Big Tower. I expect him to come charging down. Here we go. The train goes in. Nino, does he go down? Yes, he does. Not the man that he intended, but it's the Blitz falling by the wayside instead. Great reaction coming out of Reject. A very flexible mirror window coming out here from Take at the last second. Gives all the information they need in towards construction. And suddenly, the push coming out of Talon has somewhat ground to a halt. They're trying to see what they can find. You've got Misa up in Big Tower now in a great spot to come pushing down, but they're relying on trying to regain lost ground. Can they find one inside a cubby? No, they can't. There's a shotgun on the swing. They get the shutdown as Candy finds a second. Reject have quelled the rebellion. They've shut down Talon here and should be able to find themselves a 5-5 scoreline.
I love Candy's response. What a double from Misa! Just manages to sneak his way in, Des. They know exactly where he is now, but the damage is already done. Reject, they need to be aware here. There is a box in the henhouse, and they're trying to make their way through. Misa's just roaming around site, but Salty finds Canos on a drone, and that's an absolute freebie at this point. Reject let off the hook there, Des.
Just a bit. Jesus, my heart was going. I mean, for Misa then, to get the first kill, I was like, okay, then cool. It's a small little thorn in the side, but it's not going to trip them up. To then walk down highway, one of the main passages of play, in the basement to get 2 kills on site is ridiculous. You're in a 4 versus 2, boys. You shouldn't be letting that one happen. But by hook or by crook, Reject get over the finish line, bring it to 5-5. This is when things get serious, Tim. If they drop another round to Talon, they're in hot water. They start dropping points, as we've already said. That lets Sandbox get steps ahead of them and really starts to threaten their chances of that Cinderella story of making it to the major.
No more mistakes. That is the key here for Reject. No more rounds given away. I've got to give Candy an applause there, a clap after that round. It was a fantastic way that he dealt with the blitz. There was no fear out of the man. He dipped himself back into sight, turned back on for the engagement, got himself the kill, and it was, very well played to prevent what can be a devastating rush. We've seen it used and successful a number of times of clearing elbow out, but it was very well held by Candy, and it just allowed Reject that platform to build the rest of the round from. So we move into round number 11. It's going to be top floor. We're guaranteed of all 12 as the score is tied up at 5-5, and we might be guaranteed just a few extra in what is becoming a real nail-biter of a matchup here on Oregon. It's really both teams giving absolutely everything they've got for the full 3 here, and it's, I get a feeling, all going to come down to meeting potentially.
What a place for it to end as well if it really did get there. Talon, though, aren't yet done with their tricks and their shenanigans. Looking at that lineup in this round, the Amaru stays put. The Glaz is a new addition for them. Of course, we saw it coming out of Take earlier in the game. And that Ying that I spoke about earlier on, it's here. And on the other side, Tim, there's no Warden. Those two normally go together like peas in a pod. Defenders will run Warden round after round after round, just in case you do see something like a Ying coming out. I say that, Henny was almost done for then. And here we go. Soldier wants in. Have they got the support of a Ying, though, as more more and more smokes come through. Yes, they do. It's now or never. Surely in he goes. Yes, he is, but can he find any kills? Going straight in for a plant. Smokes are still raining through as Demica's got the longer angle. They've managed to pull an absolute blinder here, Tim, and can get themselves out of the map as well. They've pulled off an absolute heist.
Talon might just have made Reject's journey a lot more difficult. It's 4 versus 3. Tadaniki opens up the wall, but he's going to find himself in a Claymore, and Reject are just summarily cut down one after the other in what is an unbelievable Talon round with a brilliant post-plant setup. They were ready for this, and they've got the answer to every question that's been asked of them. The diffuser down, time ticking by. Salty goes for one, cannot find it as Misa shuts him down. And that's going to be Talon taking us to a guarantee of overtime, and things yet might go from bad to worse for Reject.
Like I say, imagine if on the same day we have down one Kier and Reject starting to miss out. It all but locks Cyclops and Sandbox in at the very top, because also Fnatic didn't have a good start to the day against Sandbox. Woo! What a day to turn things upside down in APAC North. I love that attack overall, though. It felt a little bit chaotic at the start, just dumping everything in through a single window, because you start asking the question, did the defenders just swing? Did they smoke? Did they C4? Sure, they really could have tried, but Misa found himself with 3k in the round as well. The Claymore coming out, he got a kill inside of the walk-in wardrobe just before that, and of course got the closing 1 versus 1. Another fantastic round, and one of the stronger performances we've seen from Misa overall. Normally a player that we've said several times we've seen playing on things like Smoke, kind of being regarded for his support play. But here he's being given a little bit more agency on an Ashe, not strictly playing hard entry, but getting more involved in rounds, and look at the results. Again, such a young talent that people need to keep an eye on. He will be one of the stars of Korean Siege next year.
Here we go then. I'm just having a look in the background at the points, because obviously Cyclops play in the next game, last game of the day against Spear. There is, I'm not going to say concrete, so don't quote me on this, because it's not decided yet, because Cyclops need to play Fnatic. But for argument's sake, if Talon win this, given the results today, if Cyclops then go and win their game, they are all but qualified for the major. It puts them 14 points, and the only other team other than second place would be Fnatic, who could catch them. Fnatic are currently on 8, so they could only tie level, so it would come to the head-to-head then, and obviously require results from Sandbox and stuff as well. So it's almost, you know, you're pretty much done at that point if you're Cyclops. So and it'd rely on them losing both remaining games. So Cyclops may well just be looking on at this result as well and rubbing their hands, thinking, you know, this really gives us an opportunity to take the pressure off in our last game of the day against Spear.
It does, massively, yeah. God. I didn't even think about the outcome of the next game as well, because I think if they win they go to 14 points or so, right? Back to the top.
Yeah.
Sandbox 12.
It's 6 points clear, so it then comes down to, you know, if Cyclops get anything next week, we can't confirm them because Fnatic have to play them yet, and you know, head-to-heads and things come into it. But if Cyclops basically get anything against Sandbox, then it's done. That's it, they're qualified. So it literally does put them that one step away, and one step away as Soldier manages to take down Candy. Take fans cannot elsewhere in the map, and that leaves us 4 versus 4 as Reject just managed to keep clinging on here. Tadaniki managing to find Heady outside of the map, 4v3.
Really good stuff. Again, Take and Tadaniki, despite being in a spot where they're on the edge of losing here, are still going hyper-aggressive. Swings out white window, swings out double doors. It is coming back in equal measure, but generally attackers are the ones that lose out. When the numbers start stacking up against you, the defenders are happy. Their utility's already been put down. They don't need a perfect 5-man composition to pull off the ideal execute. They can set things up much more flexibly. So this is only really starting to hurt Talon here as well. What? Another one as well? That's 3 in a round when they've gone aggressive on swings or potential runouts here. Misa losing out uncharacteristically in the 1 versus 1 means that Reject may have done enough. But Soldier, we spoke about the kind of game that he's having earlier on, has no idea where he just almost got shot from. Might find another, finds his man, now looks for the last as well. Expected a swing. If he wins this one now, he puts a massive stake into the chest of Reject and really starts to damage their ambitions. Window trying to bait it out as well, pulls him off the plant temporarily. The smoke coming in, but it's a stealth flash, not the kind of thing you want in the last 30 seconds, my son. He's trying to bait it out, Tim, but you can just see Window on about 1 HP. It's a bullet or two between the pair of them here that could end everything.
It really is so close in terms of the hit points. Window, he's just going to take a spray through the wall. Soldier, once again, just trying to tickle that diffuser, just trying to bait it out with the sound, but the time is ticking down, and there is going to come a point where he has to stick it. He's going for the kill. He's moving. He knows that he's there. Who wins the gunfight? Window wins the gunfight, and he's going to send Reject into overtime, Des.
Of course he is. Of course he is. The thing is, even if they win in overtime here, yes, Window, I'm kind of with you on that one. Even going into overtime and getting 2 points would still be a massive opportunity for them. It doesn't write them off. It makes things tighter, of course, and gives Sandbox and potentially Cyclops, should they lose the next game, a better chance to escape. But it keeps things tight, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Basically, you know, to put the figures on it in terms of Reject making the major, if they get 2 points here and win their last 2 games, Sandbox have to secure at least 3 points from their final 2, which is Cyclops and Damwon Kia. You know, can you honestly say, I know Damwon Kia haven't been great. I'm not, you know, I know they've not been fantastic the last few weeks, but can you honestly not see a world where it's possible that Cyclops and Damwon Kia both beat Sandbox? You know, yes, of course it's absolutely possible. So Reject really fighting hard to keep the dream alive here. There are a lot more stars that need to align for them. The first one for me is a full 2 points here. I think if they drop that, if TALON get the win, I think there's too much flexibility for Sandbox at that point.
Okay, let's see how it goes now. Everything resets. Reject, they stay on the defensive side, favouring them given the 4-2 halves that we have seen going in favour of the defenders. But we never know what kind of madness TALON can pull out. We saw it in the previous round, well, I think it was round 11, sorry, with the crazy rush that we had come bursting in through that satellite window in towards site. The plant going down from Soldier. They're capable of absolute madness. And if you're going to pull it out, now feels like the sort of time.
The plot does thicken a little bit, Des, because we've got to remember, and obviously, you know, there's a lot of factors come into it, but Reject have the head-to-head against Sandbox. They beat them back in Playday 1, 7-5. So even, you know, leveling up on points might not be enough for Sandbox. So that, you know, puts a slight edge back in Reject's
It changes around the world. What's the order of preference for deciding tiebreakers? Is it head-to-head first or round if first?
I would want to check on that before I start locking into it.
I will
to be
check.
honest.
It's on Liquipedia, so I'll have a quick look.
But have a look. I think it's head-to-head for APAC, if I remember rightly from stage 2.
Yeah, there was sort of, like, one region was flipped compared to the others, and it really threw me. And I was just like, okay, brilliant.
Soldier is going to kick things off with a kill onto
head-to-head
Talon Nikki. There you go. So that just gives a little bit more wiggle room for Reject. Basically what it does, because Reject have got that head-to-head, unless there's a third team on the same number of points, it gives them an extra point, essentially, because Sandbox have to get more points than them. The same isn't going to be enough. So that leaves it here. If they can get a 2-point win, very quick maths, it will leave Sandbox still needing 4 points from 2 games to guarantee things. Being so long as somebody else doesn't get onto the same amount of points as well. There's a lot to go at. There's a lot of possibilities here, but Reject still, you know, looking in with a possibility, but it's not a good start for them. They've lost the Kaid. They're 5 versus 4, 1 minute 10 left to go, but it's their best site, Des. We've seen them win it twice already. They're going to have to lock it down a third time, though.
Trying to find the Electroclaw here, which normally is on the left, so top left of the screen. Can you not, dude? It's on there. Look up. It's on the extractor unit. He's missed it. He's going to leave the hatch reinforced as a result as well. I'm not sure how he missed that one, but it does mean they won't be able to get that open so easily, and Nade will have to come tumbling down. They'll have to push in through Freezer and then check it themselves with their faces, which normally isn't a great way to go about living too long in Siege, admittedly. Here, though, Tim, we're already into the last 40. They've got the numbers advantage. They are taking things slow, but I'm worrying if it's potentially a little bit too slow.
It certainly could be. They're going to have to get explosive at some point and go in and start finding kills. Salty, he's going to be pushed back into Highway. That's going to give them a little bit of access in towards Pillars. Misa takes the opportunity. He doesn't need asking twice there. He's going to get himself in there and just take that ground. Soldier hasn't made any progress inside of Freezer yet. Misa is aware that there's one on the hard left. Manages to find his man. 5 versus 3, 10 seconds left to go. They need to start thinking about getting this diffuser down. The kills are coming in. The bodies are dropping. And it is going to be TALON who take the round. Advantage in overtime goes to them. And Des, they're defending next.
Oh boy, they've done it. They've cracked the attack. That's what you wanted. I mean, I was going to say I wanted Fresh to give me the results of the global defensive rates for that downstairs site, because I know many regard it as one of the hardest sites to attack in the game. Why wouldn't it be? There's no soft floor and you can't open up any real verticals except a couple of hatches, and you've got to kind of often push down through single doorways like freezer door, for example, down a narrow staircase when you're coming into laundry. It's just a really hard site to attack into in general. To get a win there already is absolutely huge. If it does go through to 15, Talon can go a little bit crazy and pull out some other mad strat coming in on the top floor, which will probably be where Reject's head. I don't know if they'll try downstairs again a second time. We'll see as we get into it. For now, though, Reject have got to try and crack the downstairs, which, as we've seen already, is a real tough task. They have yet to do it in this game.
This could be our final round on Oregon. I think everybody at home, much like me, is probably hoping that it's not. And that's not because I want Reject to win. I don't really care who wins this one, because what they have done is deliver a fantastic game of Siege. It's been entertaining, it's been edge of the seat stuff, and I just want to see a couple more rounds of it. If we can go all the way to 15, it really will pile the intensity on that last round. But I've got to say, Talon defended very well against this Reject attack, and so Reject, they're really going to have to overturn the odds here if they want to take us the full distance. We've got the Monte on the cards again. I don't think it's unfair for me to say, Des, it did nothing last time.
No, this is what makes me a bit nervous, is it hasn't really felt impactful in the game overall. And one thing about Salty, back in Stage 2 when Reject was still kind of figuring things out, even in Stage 1 when they were losing all the time, Salty was there kind of How did that get blown out? The armor denies the laser gate. Go figure. Oh, I see what he's done. So he's jumped into it with the Flores Rotero, deployed into the bunkered down thing, and that doesn't destroy the drone, same way something else wouldn't. It is locked in place and it can't be destroyed. So that makes sense, but I was like, hang on a minute, how's that worked out? My point was, Salty was the big gun for these guys back in Stage 1 and Stage 2. Back in Stage 1, he'd walk through teams, get a 3K, and really give a reason to respect, to fear Rejects a little bit. Sure, they couldn't win a game, but they were taking away some crucial rounds off big plays from Salty. Yet here you're sticking him, one of your stronger gunners in the team, admittedly not in this game because he's played Monty an awful lot, so hasn't got as many kills, but he's one of the big gunners on this team. I really feel like he's better placed on something like the Nomad that we saw back in the first half that will get a couple of kills out on trying to watch players flanking back towards site.
Window manages to get an opener onto Misa. The thing is, Talon are dealing with this Monty perfectly. I feel like they've been prepared for it. They knew that it may be brought along. How do you deal with the Monty? You want to get in behind him, so guarantee it by placing one on either side of the corridor that he's going to push down. They've wasted a minute 40 in doing that before they can start thinking about getting themselves down. Salty will do that now, gets himself into freezer. Needs to be checking for goo mines, just being cautious, which he has done. The Legion is dead, so no more will be deployed. But with 1 minute left to go, Reject have got work to do here, Des. They've no control of site whatsoever, and there's a lot of utility left to support the defenders.
Another rotation in the late round, not rotation, but another deployment, sorry, late round coming out of the mirror in that case. And they've also got the laser gate back on. They've also rebarricaded things. So that Flores earlier on turns out to be for absolutely naught. Good nade coming into the back corner. Soldier is down. Not quite out yet, but going to have no more part in this round. It's an easy kill for Talaniki to secure.
Time to start pushing in. 30 seconds left to go. Heady steps up into elbow, but he does have a mirror window just to fall back to if needs be. Salty sees the foot. He knows that the man is there, but I'm not sure that they're aware. Out comes the push from Canos there. He will know now, but here comes Reject. They manage to get one, get two. Can they find the third? The pressure is on from the Monty. The plant is going down. It doesn't matter as Tadarniki gets the kill. What has gone on, Des, in overtime? This game has been flipped on its head, and now the attackers can't lose. We're going all the way to 15.
I love how both of them have broken the downstairs defense as well. The one thing they really struggled with back in the first half. Both teams just often being shut down. Talon slightly more passive on the defense, getting back to site earlier than Rejects, who really showed teeth and aggression. Talon take now as their tactical time. It feels so late to take a tactical time out. Like, really probably should have been used earlier in the game when Reject were battling their way back in, but they choose now. I said earlier on, I don't expect we'll go downstairs. Given we've just seen it won twice in a row by the attackers, do they try it again, or do they try going up to a different floor here, Reject? Do they change things around? For Talon, I don't think they can necessarily perfectly predict this because they've only got, well, they've got all four sites to pick from here on the defensive side. So for them, a lot of flexibility is going to be needed. They'll have to think of things as they drone it out, get attacker repick on the go. Do we see a full cheese style lineup, or do we see something a bit more conventional coming out of them?
I feel like Reject's best defensive performances between Dormants and Laundry were downstairs. Yes, they've just lost it, but I think for me it was still their stronger side. The thing to remember here, and it's difficult for the teams, there is no right and wrong answer in which side to go to here. You know, between Laundry, between Dorms, you've just got to do what you're feeling more comfortable with as a team. Where does the confidence lie? You know, they are capable of winning both of these sides, but it just depends what the players are feeling. If you come away from this having lost it, you can't really go and question your side choice. You've picked a good side. You've won it a couple of times already. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not to say that Dorms would have done. So our last stand for Reject is going to come in the basement. Can Talon overturn the odds again and go with back-to-back successful attacks?
What do they want to do? That's the big question. How do they want to play this one out? We've seen blitz rushes come through. We've had Amaru coming into big tower. No, I mean, not yet they don't. They've got like 8 seconds still to choose, Tim. Calm down. They've got a KV coming in there from Soldier, so I don't hate that, given how aggressive Rejects have been on the run-outs, the jump-outs, the aggression around the map. I like that the KB gives you at least a little more awareness of what's going on. So that being on side, plus having a Jackal, plus a Nomad, to me just shows they do not want to be losing this game down to some weird run-out or random rat play coming out of Reject. They want full control of Oregon.
Going to be pushing in through small tower to begin with. In numbers as well, 3 of them heading in from this side, so we would expect to see some freezer pressure. Going to be looking to force Salty. Look at the aggression that's coming, Des. They're going straight for the kill onto Salty here, and he might just be looking in the wrong direction. He's shooting up at the ceiling, but the pressure is going to come in laterally, and he needs to be ready for this. He's got the device on the inside of the door there. The Razor Bloom is going to stop him being pushed maybe too immediately, but he will be dead by the time that thing detonates. That's what you've got to remember.
Oh, the drop. I was going to say he hasn't got any support top Freezer. He needs a second person with him really here. And just like that, Candy says, hi, I'm here to help. Just kidding. I'm dropping back towards site. They're both down inside of Freezer, still looking to try and challenge forwards, but you can see the impact these DKB calls are having. They know the pressure is starting to build up and know they can't sit around for too long. So already have both got themselves down on the ground floor. But now a couple more players, knowing that both of those calls have been exhausted, are looking to get out and look a little more busy.
I love the pulse being brought along. It's maybe just that information that they didn't have last time. Maybe they felt that they were getting caught a little bit unawares. And Take, he is just absolute full time. He's got that heartbeat scanner super glued into his hand right now. And he's just looking for any heartbeat that he can find. But he can't find anything, Des. Not even a flutter right now is in front of him. Off goes the Razor Bloom Canos. He's going to just dip out, take his couple of seconds, let it detonate, and then he's going to move back in and take over Freezer. 1 minute 20 left to go. Des, this is going to be an explosive finish.
Oh, I can just feel it already. It's not going to be pretty. As I mentioned as well, 3 shields on the side of Reject just to really triple down on things here. All the utility still left in the back pocket of Talon as well have gone about their clear, only using a couple of calls, a couple of air jabs, and 1 Jackal trap. They've got all the nades in back pocket. So to me, it's just screaming, okay, boys, we're ready for an execute. We've got all the tools that we still need to make this work. Haven't strictly got the map control, though. Nothing really coming on Freezer's side. They've got a bit of a pressure looking to coming down Big Tower, but Talon is still very much getting set up, and there's only 45 seconds left to play, Tim.
Going to be opening the wall from Electrical in towards Sharko spot. And again, that's just going to support them in trying to get themselves established inside of pillars. But they're nowhere near yet. Des Window is still stood in there. They haven't made any challenge onto him. 30 seconds left to go. This is going to be a single roll of the dice for Talon. That is the danger. If it doesn't work out, there is no plan B. There is no second option. Window, he gets the kill onto Demic, gets things going for Reject, and that almost pushes the button. It forces Talon to act. Window, he's there for the drop. He manages to get the kill onto Heady, but Misa, he manages to find himself a trade. 3 versus 4, 10 seconds left to go.
But can they get the last one as well? 2 still standing here. Soldier and Canos have got it all to do inside about 10 seconds. The swing comes in and he finds 1. He sees 1 more, but can't find him in time. Canos gets a kill for himself, but with 2 left to kill, he won't do it. Reject take their 2 points and keep the dream of the major alive.
It is likely going to mean, we'll do the maths, don't worry, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it means that Sandbox, for safety at least, are going to need something from both matchups, assuming that Reject can keep on winning. What it does mean is that we are in for what could be, Des, one of the tensest finishes to APAC North that we've ever had.
What a performance from Talon as well, though, Tim. I've got to give it to him. Looking at the scoreboard there, 4 players on double-digit kills. We have said for weeks They're lacking consistency. They keep on changing their players around. We keep seeing players like Soldier not short, dropping only 1, 2 or 3 kills throughout a game. But here you've had 4 of them really fight tooth and nail the whole way through with Reject. Sure, Reject have got the 2 points, but it came down to 1 round at the end of the day.
It really did. Like you said, both teams really deserving something out of that. They both take something, and they both take our hats off to them for a great performance, and more importantly, some fantastic entertainment.
Oh, it was. Honestly, going into Oregon, I was a bit like, oh, these teams haven't won a single game on this all year. It's going to suck. But that actually proved to be a really entertaining game. Not without mistakes, but very entertaining from start to finish. And I hope we get to see more of that from both of them in the last couple of weeks of our stage. We'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, Milosh, Jack, and Ollie will break this one down for you.